青春誓言扎了根，愿望比谁都深。
Good afternoon, everyone.
永远是一家人。
Hey, how are you guys doing? Surviving. Already in week 5, right?
是我们都在制造教育，谁说幸福只是一种远方的
We can start because we have so many teams to present. Maybe your friends will join us later in a while. Okay, right. So we will be doing our we will continue our tutorial session today. Today we're going to be doing tutorial. Is it 4, 5, 4? I think. Yeah, on attention and consciousness. So so we have 6 teams, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh no, 7, right? What do we begin? Where do we begin here? 7, I think. Right. Okay. So the order of presentation is we will begin with team 7, and then 9, 10, 11, 12, and only finally team 7. That's because last week team 7 already presented first. So now we'll give an opportunity to the next team to present first. So that's how we're gonna do on a weekly basis. All right. So that's the order. All right. So we'll start with team 8. Do we have a representative from team 8?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so do you want to start?
Wait a minute. Let me share my screen.
Thank you.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to Doctor and all my fellow classmates. I am Muhammad Adham from Group 8. Will be presenting question 7. This is our group members. The question 7 says that given the mounting evidence that talking on cell phones, even hands-free while driving increases the chances of having an accident. It could be argued that law should be passed making all cell phone illegal while driving. Do you agree or disagree? Discuss your reasons using the attention theories discussed during the lecture. So we all agree that law should be passed to make all cell phones illegal while driving. This is because based on our research, based on the study by MIROS in 2015, more than 43% of drivers in Malaysia use mobile phone while driving, and shockingly, 61.1% play games while driving. Using phone while driving is very dangerous as it can decrease braking distance by 16.55%, which is also mean that our brake reaction time is also decreased and increase the high risk of crashing by 8.8 times. And whenever we use our cell phone, I think we will be overconfident of our driving skill and feeling like our risk of meeting accidents is low. So here comes the first theory for why we agree to make cell phone illegal while driving, which is capacity theory. Capacity theory proposes that as humans, we have a limited amount of mental effort to distribute across different tasks. So there are limitations to how many tasks we can focus at a time. So for example, when we are driving, we need to look, of course, we need to look forward but also we need to look at the rear view mirror, side mirror, the gear we are in, especially for the manual car, the pedal that we need to step on, and the light indicator on that screen. And this is just for the car. We also need to look for our surrounding, the passengers, and the road sign, the weather, the condition of the road, and so many on. So it is clear that our brain is already possessing many things at a time, and you want to add more burden to your mental using a cell phone. Surely your brain will not focus while driving and an accident might happen. And the second theory is divided attention. Distribution of attention or 2 or more tasks based on the research. While a seasoned driver may show an overriding automaticity in piloting a vehicle. Driving a car demands resources associated with visual perception, spatial working memory, and motor responses and coordination. Performing secondary tasks may draw on resources used during driving, which may lead to performance degradation in one or both tasks. Using phone during driving has been shown to have catastrophic effect. For example, during drivers with phone have slower braking reaction time, has impaired steering control, and more likely to have an accident. So in order to avoid this problem, first we can turn on the do not disturb mode. Do not disturb feature mute all calls, alert, and notification. And if you are driving in an unknown places, you can also use the phone, but only use the phone at the beginning and use phone mount to put your telephone and look for the navigation without obscuring driver's view of the road. That is all from me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Adam. Any questions from any of the classmates? Amazing, right? So if no question, I think I have a question. Maybe like more like an opinion. We have all seen Grab drivers, right? Especially those riders. I don't know if any one of you have had such experience. We have seen them, riding, you're driving, and then like sometimes you'll be like, trying to beat the traffic. When there is traffic lights, they will like, just hantam saja and just sort of like, go ahead, even though they're supposed to wait. At the same time, often these Grab drivers will have to go and send food to a location they have not been before, okay, a new location. So in your point of view, it could be, maybe the team, whoever it is in the team member, it could be Adham or anyone. How can you explain about their capability of doing these things, even though they're going to this new location? They are like doing so many things, like what you described just now, right? They were like looking at their phones, and then they have, because they need to know the location. At the same time, they need to know what is around their environment, so that they can avoid accidents and things like that. So what can you say about these things? Is it a dangerous thing for them to refer to their phones for this, especially ways to get the location, or is it something safe enough? Yeah, anything from that point of view.
Yeah, from my point of view, I think it is okay because they already, what's that?
Familiar?
Yes, familiar with that kind of job. So that reaction time is faster than any normal people.
So is there a difference then between the ability to do divided attention, or are you then what is your opinion on like their level of divided attention? Do you think it is far greater than normal people?
Yeah,
those people who are not riders, or as in like guys, these people who deliver food.
Yeah, I think the attention is far more greater because they already used to looking at the map, at the navigation. Yeah.
I suppose it's not just looking at the map, but it's actually more to that. So it's like being in that environment. But of course, sometimes you do see these sort of drivers have being involved in an accident. That's because they thought that they could actually make it, but sometimes they just miss that. So in some cases, it's not always that, even though their ability when it comes to doing this divided attention is probably far better, but maybe it's not applicable in all situations, because in some instances they might be overloaded with other things as well, maybe personal issues, maybe they're thinking too much, many things, right? So yeah, so this is something to think about, right? For everyone, not just the team number 7. Okay, but anyway, well done. Sorry, team 8. Well done, team 8. Now we'll move on to the next team, team 9.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Yes, Doctor. Eh, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to Doctor and to all my classmates. My name is Muhammad Rafiz and I representing my team, Team 9, and I will be presenting tutorial 4, question 8. Okay, so the question is pick 2 items from the following list and decide how difficult or easy it would be to do both at the same time, simultaneously. Discuss them in terms of physical limitation and cognitive limitation. Be sure to take into the idea of cognitive load into account. Okay, if you see the tutorial question, you can see many items that we can choose from, and we decided to go with swimming and listening to the music. Okay, let's see from the physical perspective first. In the left, we have swimming. Swimming requires hands and legs movement, and it also requires the breathing organ and any other parts of the body that may be required also. And in the listening, it only requires ear to be able to do it, and that is all. So supposedly, if we try to listen to music while swimming, from the physical perspective, it should be no problem at all because it does not intercept compared to, let's say, swimming and climbing rocks. Those two cannot be done simultaneously because it requires the same part of the body to do. Okay, so from the physical perspective, it is easy to do, but we also need to see from the cognitive perspective. Okay, from the cognitive perspective, it can be both easy and hard to do, depend on certain condition. In leisure swimming, as example, it should be easy to listen to music while swimming because of the automatic processing. It does not require conscious control and it can be done automatically and parallelly without much effort. Other example is like when we talking to friend while driving on a clay road. However, automatic processing is not possible with difficult tasks. In competitive swimming, in the other hand, as is considered as a difficult task that requires conscious control. All distractors need to be eliminated so that the swimmer can focus on the swimming. If let's say the swimmer decided to listen to music while swimming, it can disrupt his focus. Example, like he can misheard the referee whistle, and his swimming might also be out of form because his attention is divided. So better for the swimmer to not listen to the music while swimming. Okay, so here we can see that listening to music when leisure swimming is easy, but hard. Listening to music while swimming is easy when leisure swimming, but hard when competitive swimming. Okay. Now let's see from capacity theory. It's also different from experienced swimmer and new swimmer. To experienced swimmer, it's easy because the amount of cognitive load to perform the swimming is low. They can swim without thinking much about the swimming itself. Different with the new swimmer. To new swimmer, swimming use high cognitive load because they need to focus in order to stay afloat. Listening to music will only disrupt their attention to swimming. So we can see that listening to music while swimming is easy for experienced swimmer and difficult for new swimmer. Okay, as the conclusion, listening to music while swimming is easy to do, but there's some condition that can make it hard. So that's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nur Hafiz. Very interesting combination that you've got over there, swimming and listening to the music. So I was wondering initially, I thought listening to the music using earphone, but then after you described, and I thought, oh, maybe it's like, you know, the music actually comes from an external speaker, so maybe that makes more sense. Yeah, it's interesting how this comparison is actually done. Between leisure swimming versus competitive swimming. Just imagine if you're in like competition, if you're a swimmer, let's say in Olympics, right? And you're like doing this leisure sort of like in a competition, but you want to compete with yourself. You challenge yourself and say, okay, I am in this competition, but I want to be able to do more. Let's listen to this music and at the same time, try to beat the rest. Maybe in that case that it will be more difficult. So that's why you can see a very good example, especially if you take Olympics games, right? Things that requires a lot of focus. For example, archery, right? I would think archery. You really have to put yourself zone in and just focus on just one aspect, trying to get your what do you call that? What is that? I've forgotten the name of the. I've forgotten that. But anyway, yeah. So your idea is you want to score well. So that's why you kind of consider other things, and even though it's something that you have practiced for a very, very long time, but in competition, most of us feel very, very stressed because our load becomes high because you're thinking too much about how much you want to do, how well you should be doing. People are watching. You have a lot of expectation, not just you, your family, your fans, your people around the world. So it's a very difficult thing to actually go through. It's not just that, but people who do performance, right? Yeah, on stage performance. Even though they're just singing, but it can be very, very stressful to these people because of this high cognitive load that for something that is a low cognitive load that can eventually become a high cognitive load because you put so much expectation during a specific time. Okay, so I think this has been quite nicely presented by Team
9.
Team 9. All right. Okay, thank you very much, Hafiz. Okay, let's move on to the next team, Team 10.
Okay, good afternoon, Doctor and my classmate, and I will share my screen first. Okay, are you guys able to see my screen?
Again.
Okay, first we will watch a video first. Okay, that's all for the video, and I'll proceed with our question. Our question today is: we are required to conduct an experiment on in attentional blindness, and to discuss what is the outcome of our small-scale experiment. And in attentional blindness is it's a phenomenon that causes you to miss things that are right in front of your eyes. It's because we are concentrating on one aspect and we are unable to receive information from the other stimulus. And the experiment, the invisible gorilla, before the participants join the experiment, 90% of them think that they will notice the changes, but it ended up half of the people didn't notice the gorilla. Because we have failed to see the visible object because our attention directed somewhere else. In fact, most of the people look at the gorilla for at least a second, but looking is not the same with seeing. We have to focus our attention on something in order to become aware of it. When we are focusing on something, we don't have unlimited attention to devote to other things, and we only see those things we focus on. Sometimes we might even filter out what we want to see, and we don't realize we are doing that. And one common example is fire extinguisher. Even it is red and obvious, but only a few of us are able to tell where are them. Because usually when we pass by the fire extinguisher, we don't pay attention to it. Okay, next. I think I will stop sharing for a second because I need to enable the audio. Okay. Okay. One more video to go. Short video.
The Door Study. This video shows a participant from a 1998 study by Daniel Simons and Daniel Levin. Watch what happens as the unsuspecting pedestrian provides directions. The young man on the left is one of the experimenters. He has approached the white-haired man and asked for directions. Watch closely as two people carrying a door pass between them, and the first experimenter is replaced by someone else. Like many of the people in this study, the pedestrian was entirely unaware that he was talking to a different person.
Okay.
The Door Study.
This experiment is about change blindness. Change blindness is the failing to notice changes in the environment. It is more about memory. We use memory to identify a person has changed, but our memory is not focused what have just changed. Throughout our daily life, we are receiving information constantly through our eyes, nose, and ears, and we store those data in our memory without noticing it. So when there are minor changes, we often don't pick up. We often don't notice unexpected things because we are aware of far less of our world than we think we are. For the Door Study experiment, the participants are concentrated on the direction and not paying attention to the person who asking them. As long as those important things doesn't change, such as race or gender or height, and if you can notice the person who is asking the direction, the color of the clothes is different. So the meaning of the scene really hasn't changed if the important thing don't change, and you're not gonna notice anything's different. The difference between intentional blindness and change blindness is the failure to notice notice an obvious change, and inattentional blindness is the failure to notice the existence of an unexpected thing in our field of view that is obvious. And the similar is we fail to notice something that is clearly visible in our field of view because our attention has been drawn to other aspects. And based on our finding, inattentional blindness and change blindness provide evidence that without attention, we may fail to perceive things that are clearly visible in our field of view. And that's all from us.
It's great, Chong. Thank you very much. So I think this is a very good example of like not seeing what we're seeing. So it's really right in front of your eyes, but still it appears invisible. So, sometimes I have been in situations when people ask, have you seen my phone? When the person is actually holding their phone. I don't know whether or not you have experienced something like this yourself or, people around you or anything similar to this. But yeah, these are the things that when you pay attention to other things, your state of awareness actually shifted to something else. So that's why I think it's very important for us to now understand that, our attention is very limited and we need a way of, a very efficient way of managing that so that we are not overloaded at a specific time. So things like the bottleneck theory actually describes how if you're not able to separate the things we want to do at a specific time, then our ability to do things can be in some sense reduced. Okay, so that's just a bit of summary for Team 10. So thank you very much, Team 10. We'll now move to the next team, Team 11.
Yes, Doctor. So I will be presenting.
Okay.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, maybe you can enlarge it a bit. Yep, it's okay.
So hello and Assalamualaikum. Good evening, I think. Alright, so my group 11 got the question on explaining the key factors influencing the divided attention, and by giving an example of this situation and its effect. Okay, so this is my team members. So what is actually divided attention is basically how our brain is able to different stimuli at the same time and respond to multiple demands of the surroundings. So what is the effect of divided attention is basically okay. So we'll be seeing this video in order to see the effect of divided attention. This video is 5 minutes, so I will be forward it. I will be explaining while seeing the video, while you guys see the video. So basically what this person is, she's having a problem beginning her lesson on learning piano. Yeah, so you can see it's very hard. But then she goes and practice it again and practice it again, and then you can see it is it's getting very easy for her. Okay, this is a new song. You can see it's the same thing. She's still learning the piano, but it's a new song. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can see here she's learning a new song. Not here. Yeah, she's learning a harder song. At first, it's just the upper part, and then there's one. The song is getting longer and longer. So we can see that is actually harder. So this person needs to start again and get the right. She's getting easier when she's playing the piano.
Hanina, you sound very far from the microphone. Maybe you can speak louder.
Oh, okay. I'll speak louder. Okay. sorry. Okay, so as you can see that she just at first she needs to look very clear to the notes. Even I don't understand what is this note minimus and left treble, I don't know. So and then you can see she's getting more familiar after 5 months and yeah, yeah. Uh, and when she practice more, she can play a lot more different and difficult songs because she is more familiar with the piano. Okay, okay. Basically, that is wait. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to tell is the factor of why this divided attention happens that can affect to automatic processing. So first, familiarity. So what happens is that this woman is becoming an experienced pianist. So the task is not as difficult when she firstly learned how to play the piano at the beginning of the video. So we can see that her playing style is getting more easier than the beginning of the video. Okay. The next one is practice. This is one of the factor on why the divided attention become a automatic process is becoming an effect of divided attention. So here we can see that practice. With more practice, you can see that she practiced the same easy song and then she goes to another hard song and then by time she gets familiar and she can actually play it easier with less resources in her brain, I think, to play it with more smoothly. Yes. And then lastly is task difficulty. As we can see, the beginning song is just a 2-line song. It's very easy for her to play. And then as it gets, the song gets longer and the song gets more difficult with more notes in them. And the tempo is getting shorter and shorter. So she needs to play it with more resources, and then this will take more of resources in her brain lah, basically. So the task is getting difficult. So that is why divided attention for automatic processing is here is not automatic processing lah. Basically here is control processing, and then when she get more familiarized with it, then only then it will become automatic processing. So yeah, basically that is all. Yes. Any questions? Can you guys hear me or I'm lost? Oh, okay.
We can hear you.
Voice was stumbling, yeah.
So, any questions from the classmates? Okay, so I think a bit of recap. Thank you, Hanina, for representing your team. It's basically an example of a lady who plays piano. So from the very beginning, she's a new learner, so she's not used to it. So she's got maybe a high load when it comes to just playing piano. So you could see that she's a bit stressed during her session, piano playing sessions. And then later, over time, she becomes more and more used to that practice. Of course, because of due to practice, and maybe the task actually becomes a lot easier, so reduce task difficulty. So eventually this will lead to automaticity, which makes it easier for her to perform things automatically over time. It will probably take a long time for her to play even without reading from the piano sheet, but over time this is what we have seen in not just piano playing but any other skills development, even playing games. Even though you're used to playing games, but as you play a new piece of a new type of game, it takes a bit of time for you to familiarize yourself. Okay, so over time, when you practice and you do more, you understand better, then the task actually becomes less difficult for you, and all of these will lead to better performance or automaticity, and just like what we have discussed when it comes to driving. Okay, so yeah, very good. Thank you very much, team 11, for presenting your work. Now let's move to team 12.
Yes, doctor, just a minute.
Thank you.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Good afternoon, doctor. We are from team 12, and we are now going to present question 11. So our teammates are Muhammad Azri, Lo Junjie, me, Chen Yi, and Uma. So the question is, describe 3 criteria that determine a particular skill is automatic. Support your answer by demonstrating several pieces of evidence of skills considered as automatic. Discuss several variations of Stroop effect other than the one available in the notes. So for the first part of the question, 3 criteria to determine an automatic skill. So the automatic skill is the ability to act without really thinking about it happens when a behavior becomes overlearned. So it is because that if you practice an action over and over again, you will eventually become so skilled at the task that you can perform it with little or no thought. So this is why it comes to an automatic skill. From Posner and Snyder at 1975, they said that there are 3 criteria to determine a skill that is automatic, which is occurs without intention, does not give rise to conscious awareness, and does not interfere with other mental activities. So we have also provided some examples to prove these 3 criteria. For the first one is driving. So for an experienced driver who most often can drive in an automatic manner, because that they don't have to think about like how to start their car, how to move the gear shift, or how to back out from their driveway, because they are so used to it, they are keep driving on the same road to work or to buy something else. So driving does not rise to conscious awareness when there are no emergencies, because they are so used to it. They are already overlearned in driving. For experienced driver, they already know like where is the bump, where is the corner that you have to turn left or turn right. So the driver can basically to do other mental activities like thinking of the assignments like us and listening to music. For the second example is recognizing familiar faces. You won't be needing attention to recognize your parents' faces since you already know them since you are young. You are born. Yeah, so it occurs without intention. We recognize our family members as well does not rise to conscious awareness. While you automatically recognize your family members, you are most probably thinking of other things also, which comes in the other mental activities. Example, which is thinking of what is your family going to have lunch later, like when you are looking at a face and then you're thinking of what is the meal that your mom is going to prepare for you. Yeah, so we can have multiple mental activities at the same time. The third is reading simple text. You automatically read text without intention. For example, in Stroop effect, when you are asked to read the color out instead of reading the word, your performance will become slow. So for example, we have the word black over there, but it is in red. So it will be easier for us to read black instead of red. Okay, so reading simple text does not require conscious awareness unless the text consists of complex sentence structure or complicated contents. So if we read complicated text like those consist of jargon or those professional words, so you need to have more time to process what is this. So for reading simple text, like I like playing football, so it is very easy for you. And also you can do other mental activities while continue reading. Like when I'm reading, I'm playing football. I can also imagining like I was playing the football together with my parents on the field. Yeah, so we can come up with multiple mental activities. So the variations of Stroop effect. The first one is how many words in each box. So it will be easier for us to say 2, 3, 4 instead of 1, 4, and 2. Yeah. So the second one is what animal in the picture. So it will be easier for us to say spider, camel, bird, cow instead of penguin, giraffe, bear, and bird. So we need to have more time to process the information for this Stroop effect. And the third one is what are the position of the words in each box. So this one will be easier for us to say right, bottom, outside instead of we say left, top, inside, etc. Yeah, so this is how the Stroop effect comes into our mind. Yeah, so that's all from our group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, you. Um, I like how you guys actually put these different variations of this stroop effect, because it's not just like what we see previously, you know, the standard stroop effect where you have colors, you have the text, but then they're put in different color. Let's say the color says purple, but the text is actually in yellow. So you oftentimes, because as we know, reading is so automatic to most of us, many of us in fact, therefore we tend to read faster compared to processing other bits of information. So things like, you know, the variations that what our friend showed just now, like, you know, the orientation could be one aspect. If you put, let's say, north at the bottom, or if you put north, south, or you replace all of those positions, then it can be very confusing for us to process that information. That's because it's not because we cannot understand the meaning. We can. It gets filtered. You know, that processing part, that those selective attention, that one is already in play. That they're working fine. But it's just that we get confusing information coming in at once. So that's one of the reasons why you know, automatic processing to some extent can also create confusion to us. Okay, so which has been described by those different types or variations of stroop effect. Yeah.
I have one question. Do the breathing is considered as automated skills?
I would say yes, if you are familiar with the language. For example, if now, like, if for many of us Malaysians, we can read bahasa Melayu, bahasa Malaysia. So for like English as well.
I mean breathing, bernafas.
Oh, breathing. I thought reading. Breathing. That one, I would say it is automatic, definitely, but it's being controlled by our organs. So we don't have much control, even though you can be conscious of your own breathing. But there's only very limited control that you can put. I wouldn't say that there is like you can be conscious only to some extent, but you cannot tell yourself to completely stop breathing, because even if you try to do that, then subconsciously your organs and your body will try to go against it because you need to survive, right? So that's why so that's why, even though we try to control certain selective attention mindfully, being conscious, to some extent our body actually has its own way of going against it. So that's how I take it. Yeah, so that is with breathing, and it's not just breathing. I think other things as well that has to do with hormonal control. Yeah. Yeah. So that is that question. Are we done? Oh, we have one more team, right? So I hope I answered your question. Was it Luqman Nurul Hakim? Who asked that question? Forgotten.
Yes. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. Okay. Before we end, can we go to the last team, Team 7?
Yes, Doctor. Can see my screen, right?
Let's start.
Good afternoon. I'm Jamun from Team 7. Okay. We are assigned to do question number 6. So the question is, art composition books often state that it's possible to arrange elements in an advertisement or website in a way that controls both what a person looks at in the advert page and the order in which a person looks at things. We are asked to do the demonstrate this phenomenon using an appropriate example. And this question is related to visual attention, which is under selective attention. Okay, the example that we provide for this question is the Apple advertisement and their website. This is one of the Apple advertising poster. When we first look at this poster, I believe that most of us will look at the watches first, right? And then we will look at the brand. And then lastly, only we will look at the words. Instead of these tiny words, the large size graphic will first attract our visual attention, then followed by the logo, which is well known by the public, and this part
is the element that we focus the least in this poster. Then for website, when we click on this link, we will come to this user interface. So the elements that we will first look at this page are the large size title, iPhone 12, and also the pictures. These two elements will attract our visual attention more compared to the navigation bar. Since the color of the bar is dark and the words are small, which is less attractive. Let's look in details. Okay, for advertising poster, size is one of the main elements to attract our visual attention. In this poster, the Apple Watch picture occupies a large portion. We can see that about half of the space of this poster is occupied by the Apple Watch graphic, which will first attract the customer's visual attention. Then they use the graphic instead of words. Instead of using words to describe the properties, the designer surrounded the Apple Watch with water droplets to show that the Apple Watch has water-resistant feature. This kind of designing is actually more attractive compared to just listing out those properties. Okay, so for website page, the color is the clever use of color can easily attract visual attention. For example, in this page, we can see that among 5 colors, they put red color in front. We know that red color is a kind of conspicuous color, and it can achieve eye-catching results. So it can easily grab customer attention. Besides, there is no colorful background to divert customer attention. For example, they just use the solid color as the background. Lastly, simplicity. Simplicity is also essential to attract visual attention for a website page. In this page, we can see that it doesn't have too much of buttons or unnecessary elements, which allows customer to focus on the main products. That's all for our answer. So the conclusion for our question is visual attention is very useful in advertising a product or creating a product website page. The aspects such as color, size, simplicity, and graphics can maximize the visual attention from the customer so as to achieve advertising effect. That's all from us.
All right, thank you very much, Jamun, representing Team 7. Is it Team 7? Yep. Okay, so this is basically, to recap again, so this is on visual attention and how she has put it in a way that certain elements such as color, size, simplicity, and so on actually affects our ability to focus on certain things only. So that's why when you look at very successful advertisement, they're not too busy. Why? Because again, our attention is very selective. So once you see one thing, you tend to just not see the other things. You know, this attention blindness actually happens over here. It has also been supported by what we have learned previously in the perception chapter, where you have things like simplicity. You know, remember the Gestalt principle? Things that appears together, things that appears to be simple, things are grouped together. So those are the things that actually helps advertisement posters to become effective, especially when guiding where they want people to look at a specific time. So in market research, this has been done, this has been taken very seriously, especially in, I don't know whether or not you have heard of this game called Super Bowl in the United States. So it's like football. I think they have it at the beginning of the year, something like that. So so during the break, right, they call it halftime if I'm not mistaken, they will show a lot of advertisements. So this is like a break, right? You know, you have football game and then you have a break in between. And they will show advertisements, and during that time they need to show only they need to show advertisements that actually make a very big impact, because getting you know, for the companies to actually pay for their advertisement to be displayed during that game alone is very, very expensive. It can be millions just for that session of game, probably for half an hour, millions, right? So they need to make sure that it's, something that people will actually look at and, really strike their attention. And they do a lot of studies, and this is one of the things that they use, like eye tracking studies, to evaluate where people actually look before they actually decide which of those advertisements they want to send out during this event, so that all of those advertisements is actually going to make an impact and hence increase their sale, mostly product. So you can actually have a look. If you don't believe me, try to Google Super Bowl advertisements, and even without all of these are all attention grabbers. Advertisement that have actually gone through a lot of research before they actually make it up to that specific day's game, to be shown to the people, spectators. So this is a very good way of how the effect of attention and consciousness is actually being applied in our daily setting. And I think that marks our tutorial for today. Thank you very much, guys, for presenting. Right. Unless if you have any questions, then I think we can call it a day. I should see you guys on Thursday for our next class. Okay? All right, guys. So, no question, right?
No questions.
No questions. All right. Okay. See you then on Thursday. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.